The 2019 Q4 release of SAP Analytics Cloud has a lot of features to improve planning workflows, whether you're an admin, a solution manager, or a business user. Here are some of the changes that will make your life easier. At number 5 are the carry forward and time functions for advanced formulas in data actions. Data actions are all about making structured changes to model data without spending all day writing scripts. And now there are some new functions to speed things up. The new carry forward function is a common way to manage the flow of balance sheet accounts. It lets you reduce this script down to this. It's faster to write and it's faster to run too. Next, there are some new time calculation functions available. These functions can help you, for example, in HR planning, like calculating salaries and headcount costs over time. You can get specific values from a date, like the month or day number, or the number of days in the month. And the date ratio function can help you prorate values like annual salary. Here's the calculation with if statements, and here it is with date ratio. Better, right? At number 4 is calendar integration with stories. As a planner, you can spend a lot of time in the calendar because it lets you stay on top of all your tasks. You can see what work needs to be done now and what's coming up, including details about objectives, when each task is due, and who else is working on it. Wouldn't it be handy to see all that stuff in the work files for your tasks? Well, now when you open a work file from the calendar or a task notification, you get an overview of the task, options to submit your work, and a panel to see all the details. From here, you can jump right back to the calendar to see what's next. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. At number 3 are some table enhancements. The table is where a lot of the action happens in planning, and now there are some major improvements. First, check out the new look, which helps you identify your totals and distinguish between actuals and planning versions. Next, you get version management options in the right-click menu, so you can immediately undo and redo changes, copy, publish, and delete versions, and see the version history. This really speeds up the workflow, especially when you want to explore a few different what-if scenarios. When you add a member on the fly to a dimension that uses dimension access control, you can now set the read and write permissions right from the table. No need to switch back to the model. In other words, the table is much easier to use. Seriously, you'll forget you're working in a web browser. At number 2 is support for exporting to SAP IBP. Integration always creates new possibilities, and the latest release of SAP Analytics Cloud supports exporting data to SAP Integrated Business Planning, either on demand or by scheduling. So, what does this mean? Well, for a while now, you've been able to import data from IBP into SAP Analytics Cloud, making sure your sales plan is relevant for market demand and your supply chain can support it. But what if you want to adjust the plan in SAP Analytics Cloud without losing sight of supply chain constraints? Maybe you've got a product that's performing better than expected, and you want to push the sales numbers a bit more. Now, you can make your changes in SAP Analytics Cloud and export the data back to IBP to make sure you've got the materials and capacity to meet a more ambitious plan. The combination of IBP and SAP Analytics Cloud is pretty powerful and worth checking out. At number 1 is the Integrated Financial Planning for SAP S/4HANA Content Package. If you're using an S/4HANA system for financial planning data, SAP Analytics Cloud can add flexibility to your planning process. It lets you combine ad hoc planning operations with structured processes like data actions. But getting your models, processes, and stories set up can take valuable time and effort. At least, it used to. Support for S/4HANA isn't new to this release, but our pre-built content now covers a complete planning workflow. The Integrated Financial Planning for SAP S/4HANA Content Package is available to all SAP Analytics Cloud systems, free from the Content Network. It guides you through working out the details of your product costs, planning cost center activities and expenses, and then figuring out revenue and profitability. You can plan based on historical data or driver values and make your own adjustments as needed. Then you can export your planning data back to the S/4HANA system. There, the content is integrated with S/4HANA features like availability control and budget consistency. If you've been thinking about integrating S/4HANA with planning in SAP Analytics Cloud, this might be a good time to check out the possibilities. This is just a taste of what the latest release of SAP Analytics Cloud has to offer, so click the link to learn more. Until next time, happy planning!